Welcome to the world of fairy tales.
Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Once upon a time, in a kingdom far away, there lived a queen who longed for a child. One winter day, as she sewed beside her ebony window frame, she pricked her finger with a needle. 3 drops of blood fell upon the snow that lay on the windowsill, and she said softly, "If only I had a child as white as snow, as red as blood, and as black as the wood of this frame." Soon after, her wish came true. She gave birth to a baby girl with skin white as snow, lips red as blood, and hair black as ebony. They named her Snow White. But the good queen did not live long. After her death, the king took another wife, a proud and beautiful woman, but her heart was cold and full of vanity. She possessed a magic mirror, and every day she would stand before it and ask, open quote, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" Close quote. And the mirror would always reply, open quote, "You, my queen, are the fairest of them all." Close quote. For many years the queen was content, for she believed herself to be the most beautiful in all the land. But as Snow White grew older, she became lovelier each day. Her kindness shone through her beauty, and even the flowers seemed to turn their faces toward her as she passed. One morning when the queen asked her mirror the same question, it answered truthfully, open quote, "You are fair, my queen, 'tis true, but Snow White is fairer far than you." Close quote. The queen's face turned pale with fury. "Snow White," she hissed, "she shall not outshine me." Her jealousy burned so fiercely that she could find no rest. She summoned a huntsman and ordered him, "Take the girl into the forest, kill her, and bring me her heart as proof." The huntsman bowed and led Snow White deep into the dark woods. But when they reached a lonely glade, he dropped to his knees and said, "Dear princess, forgive me. I cannot harm you. The queen is wicked and has commanded your death. Flee, go far away, and never return to the castle." Snow White's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you," she whispered. "May heaven reward your kindness." Then she ran into the forest, terrified and alone. The trees seemed to whisper around her, and glowing eyes stared from the shadows. She stumbled through thorny branches and across rushing streams until at last she saw a small cottage nestled between the hills. Curious, she stepped inside. Everything was tiny, the chairs, the dishes, the beds, yet tidy and charming. On the table stood 7 little plates and 7 cups, and beside them were 7 spoons. Snow White was so hungry that she tasted a bit of bread and fruit from each plate, then drank a sip of water from each cup. Exhausted, she lay down on one of the 7 small beds and soon fell into a deep sleep. When the sun went down, the owners of the cottage returned, 7 dwarfs who worked all day in the mountains mining for gold and precious stones. They carried their tools and lanterns, singing cheerfully. But when they entered their house, they stopped in astonishment. "Who's been sitting in my chair?" cried the first dwarf. "Who's been eating from my plate?" said the second. "Who's been drinking from my cup?" asked the third. "And who is this sleeping in my bed?" exclaimed the 7. They gathered around the bed and stared in wonder at the beautiful girl. "Heavens, she is lovely," murmured one. "Let her rest," said another gently. "We'll ask her story tomorrow." When morning came, Snow White awoke and saw the 7 little men looking kindly at her. She was frightened at first, but their smiles calmed her. "Who are you?" she asked. "We are miners," said the eldest dwarf. "We dig for gold and jewels in the mountains. But tell us, who are you and why are you here?" Snow White told them everything, about her jealous stepmother, the huntsman's mercy, and her long flight through the forest. The dwarfs listened with compassion. Then one said, "Stay here with us. You can keep house for us, cook, sew, and make our home cheerful, and in return, we'll protect you from harm." Snow White gratefully agreed. From that day on, she lived happily with the 7 dwarfs. She cooked delicious meals, kept their little cottage bright and clean, and sang so sweetly that even the birds perched on the windowsill to listen. The dwarfs loved her dearly, and each morning before they went to the mines, they warned her, "Beware of the queen. Do not let anyone in while we are away." Meanwhile, in her grand palace, the wicked queen stood again before her mirror and demanded, open quote, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" Close quote. The mirror replied, open quote, "You, my queen, are fair, 'tis true, but Snow White beyond the hills with the 7 dwarfs is fairer far than you." Close quote. The queen's rage knew no bounds. "So she lives," she hissed. "Then I must finish her myself." She disguised herself as an old peddler woman and journeyed to the dwarf's cottage. When Snow White opened the window, the woman smiled and said, "Pretty laces for a young maiden. Let me lace your dress more tightly so you'll look even lovelier." Snow White, forgetting the dwarf's warning, allowed her in. The woman pulled the laces so tight that Snow White could not breathe and fell senseless to the floor. The queen cackled with glee and hurried away. But soon after, the dwarfs returned, found Snow White lying still, and quickly loosened her laces. She began to breathe again and told them what had happened. The dwarfs warned her sternly, "Be careful next time, dear Snow White. Do not open the door for anyone." The queen, believing Snow White dead, returned to her mirror and asked once more, open quote, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" Close quote. The mirror replied again, open quote, "You, my queen, are fair, 'tis true, but Snow White, beyond the hills with the 7 dwarfs, is still fairer than you." Close quote. The queen trembled with fury. "Then I shall destroy her utterly." She disguised herself again, this time as a poor old woman with a comb in her basket. "This comb will make your hair shine like gold," she croaked when Snow White opened the door. The girl hesitated, but the comb looked harmless. The moment it touched her hair, poison spread through her body, and she fell down as if dead. Once more the queen left, laughing wickedly. But when the dwarfs returned, they removed the poisoned comb, and Snow White soon revived. She wept and promised never to be deceived again. Yet the queen would not rest. When she asked her mirror a 3rd time, the answer was the same. Now her hatred burned hotter than ever. "This time," she snarled, "I shall make an apple, beautiful but deadly." She dipped one side of an apple into a potion so poisonous that even one bite would bring death. Disguised as a harmless old peasant, she went again to the dwarf's cottage. "Good day, dear child," she said sweetly. "Would you like a fine apple? It's delicious and harmless. See, I'll eat one half myself." The apple's red side was safe, only the white half held poison. Snow White, seeing the woman eat, took a bite and instantly fell to the ground, lifeless. When the queen returned to her castle and asked the mirror, it finally said, open quote, "You, my queen, are the fairest of them all." Close quote. Satisfied, she smiled at last. The dwarfs came home that evening and found Snow White lying motionless. They tried everything, water, prayers, tears, but nothing could bring her back. Believing her dead, they placed her gently in a glass coffin so that her beauty could still be seen. They set it upon the mountain and watched over her day and night. Time passed, days, weeks, months, and yet her cheeks were still rosy, her lips still red, as if she only slept. One spring morning, a young prince riding through the forest saw the coffin gleaming in the sunlight. Inside lay the most beautiful girl he had ever seen. "Who is she?" he asked the dwarfs. They told him her story, and his heart was filled with sorrow. "Please," he said, "let me take her to my castle. I cannot bear to part from her." The dwarfs, seeing his sincerity, agreed. As the prince's servants carried the coffin, they stumbled on a root, and the jolt dislodged the piece of poisoned apple stuck in Snow White's throat. She opened her eyes, gasped for air, and sat up in astonishment. The prince knelt beside her in joy. "Dearest one," he said, "you are alive! I have found you at last." Snow White smiled and told him of the wicked queen. The prince took her to his palace, where wedding bells soon rang, and all the kingdom rejoiced. The 7 dwarfs came to celebrate, dancing merrily around the tables, and Snow White thanked them for their love and loyalty. When the evil queen learned from her mirror that Snow White was alive and now a queen, her heart filled with envy one last time. But her dark power was gone, and she vanished from the kingdom forever. And so Snow White and her prince lived happily ever after. The dwarfs often visited the castle, and laughter echoed through the halls whenever they came. The land blossomed under their gentle rule, and Snow White's kindness became legend. Proof that true beauty lies not in the face, but in the heart. And they all lived happily ever after.